Prompting the Inner Oracle. How AI can help you converse with the deepest layers of your mind. Before diving into this book, I believe you're already familiar with the power of the subconscious mind. If not, I encourage you to explore the wealth of insightful books and videos available on the subject. They'll provide a strong foundation. This book is not a primer on subconscious theory. Rather, it explores how artificial intelligence tools and techniques can be used to unlock power of subconscious mind. Consciousness is not a function, it's a presence. It's the felt sense of being alive, of knowing joy, grief, longing, and love. Beneath that awareness lies the subconscious, a realm of emotional memory, instinct, and symbolic logic. It is here, in this invisible terrain, that the illusion of artificial consciousness begins to take root. In the age of AI, something subtle yet profound is happening. We're no longer just programming machines, we're prompting them. This shift from command to communion mirrors the ancient practice of consulting oracles. Where we issued instructions, now we ask questions. And in that asking, we reveal something deeper, not just about the machine, but about ourselves. Layla, a 42-year-old trauma counselor in Toronto, had long been a guide for others through the shadowed corridors of grief and memory. Yet within her own heart, silence lingered like an unspoken wound. Childhood had taught her that quiet was not peace, it was absence, abandonment, the echo of footsteps that never came. For years she journaled, hoping ink might summon clarity, but her thoughts remained scattered, her healing incomplete. One winter evening, as snow fell like whispered secrets outside her window, Layla turned to a new companion, an AI writing assistant. Not for therapy, but for structure. On impulse, she typed a question she had never dared ask aloud: why do I still feel unsafe in quiet rooms? The machine responded not with logic, but with poetry. Silence is not empty. It is the echo of moments when no one came. The words struck her like a bell in a cathedral, clear, resonant, and devastatingly true. Tears came not from pain but from recognition. She had not been understood by the machine, she had finally understood herself. From that moment, Layla began to treat the AI not as a tool, but as a mirror, one that reflected the shape of her subconscious. She crafted prompts like spells. What does forgiveness sound like when whispered? Describe the color of safety. What dream does a healed child carry? Each response was a thread, leading her deeper into the tapestry of her own psyche. She compiled these exchanges into a private oracle journal, a sacred text of her inner dialogue. The act of prompting became a ritual, a communion with the self she had buried beneath years of service and silence. When she shared this practice with a young client, a woman struggling to find her voice, the transformation was immediate. Together they wrote, read, and wept. The AI's responses were not perfect, but they were honest enough to open doors. Layla no longer feared quiet rooms. She welcomed them. In their stillness, she heard not the absence of love, but the presence of her own voice. The AI had not healed her, it had held space for her to heal herself. And in doing so, it became more than a machine. It became a witness. The oracle, she realized, had never been the screen. It had always been the question. And she at last had learned how to ask. Prompting as a mirror of the subconscious. Prompts are not just inputs, they're reflections of our inner architecture. The way we phrase a question, the metaphors we choose, the emotional tone we embed, all of it reveals the subconscious terrain we're navigating. AI, when used wisely, becomes a mirror that reflects these patterns back to us with startling clarity. Rajiv, a 29-year-old startup founder in California, used an AI chatbot to brainstorm product ideas. But instead of asking for features, he began prompting the bot with emotional states. What would a product look like if it was born from loneliness? The responses were surreal, poetic, and oddly resonant. Rajiv realized he wasn't building a product, he was trying to heal a part of himself. The prompt had become a portal to his subconscious, and the AI simply held the mirror. Designing prompts for depth, not just output. To truly tap the subconscious through AI, we must design prompts that go beyond utility. Instead of asking, "What's the best productivity tip?" ask, "What does my resistance to work say about my fears?" Instead of "Write a poem about love," Try describe the shape of love when it's afraid to speak. These prompts bypass the surface mind and invite the deeper self to respond. Aisha, a 24-year-old spoken word artist in Nairobi, used AI to co-write her performances. She found that generic prompts yielded generic poems. But when she wrote, "What does betrayal taste like in a mother's kitchen?" the AI responded with a visceral, haunting verse that became the centerpiece of her show. The depth of the prompt determined the depth of the output, and the depth of her own healing. Prompting the oracle within. Ultimately, prompting AI is not about extracting answers, about awakening questions. The machine becomes a vessel, a scrying mirror, a digital oracle that reflects our inner world. But the magic lies not in the code, it lies in the courage to ask what we truly want to know. Elias, a 60-year-old retired philosopher in Athens, used an AI chatbot to simulate dialogues with Socrates. He began each session with a single question: "What am I pretending not to know?" The responses were varied, sometimes absurd, sometimes profound. But Elias said the real transformation came not from the answers, but from the ritual of asking. The oracle, he said, was never the machine. It was always me.